everyone, it's Loomer, and I'm here today with at E3 with Damien Kieken.
Hi.
Oh, so Damien is the game director for the multiplayer of Assassin's Creed 3.
Yes.
And he's also the game director of Revelations multiplayer, and he worked also on the Brotherhood multiplayer as well as part of the game closing team that helps like push the game out the door at the end, and also part of the tutorial stuff before that. And he's been gracious enough to answer a few questions about the multiplayer for Assassin's Creed 3. So I guess maybe we can start by talking about, I think, what's one of the biggest changes, which is the merging of the kill and the stun into one button.
Yeah.
And so kind of the reasoning behind that and how it exactly works. Because I didn't realize this right away, but you were telling me that you actually don't lose your contract anymore if you kill a civilian.
So first, it's a core improvement that we wanted to do since the beginning of AC3. We really didn't like the assassin prompt that with the B button or the single button that pops above your head when you go next to your target. So we wanted to change that. And also because we have some new modes where you can change dynamically from cursor or target, we really had to come up with something new. So we decided to merge the assassination and the stun action on the same button, which is now square. So no more assassin's prompt, and no more ways for you to ask yourself, am I in my territory? Should I push stun or kill or whatever? You push always the same button to interact with an opponent. So it's easier to access, but also it doesn't break anymore the game. So it really helps both type of player, the newcomers and the player who knows really well the game.
And you were telling me, you guys, ever since the Revelations beta, you realized that the stun prompt at such a huge range was a problem, but that there's many problems with fixing it.
So we realized that quite soon, but as I told you, when you change that, it impacts a lot of things. So because now we've merged everything on one button for the same action, we had to revamp a bit the contract system. So for example, when you kill an NPC, you no more lose the contract, but you're in a state where you can't interact with anyone during a few seconds. You have a cooldown on your button, and it's also one of the answer to. In Revelations, a lot of players were stunning NPCs, and right away they could stun their target. So it's also an answer to that. So this is why we have the best of both worlds. And so this was one of the first consequences. And then, of course, when we change the button, we need to change all the UI, to change all the tutorials, everything. So it has a major impact on the game. So that's why we couldn't only do it on AC3. And that's why it's also one of the first things we did on AC3. Right away.
Well, I've only played the multiplayer briefly so far, but I'm actually really happy. I was actually surprised at that because I've seen that suggestion around on the forums a lot before. Usually in the form of a neutral prompt where you would hit X or B, and I always thought that was kind of a confusing thing, especially for the newer players. And so I'm actually really happy with this new implementation. I think it's done really well. So I was very surprised and happy about that.
And it works really well. Even now for us, it's hard to go back to ICR, Revelations, and to play with it. We internally we really play with it now, and we're really happy with it, and we think it's one of the really good core improvements that we do on AC3.
Great, awesome. Okay, so I think the other, probably the biggest change that I've seen so far is probably the third ability slot. You guys have added. You've kind of moved some of the controls around a little bit to make room for it.
So,
but I mean, losing the stun button helps a lot.
So the third ability slot ID was an ID for us to give a tool to the player to always have a ranged ability. So this third ability slot is dedicated to ranged ability.
You can't put any ability you want in it, it's only the ranged abilities.
It's only ranged ability in it. You use it with triangle or Y button, and you can put the hidden kill in it and the knives, but also we have new ones like poison dart. So it's a poison at distance. It's really cool, and we have the disruption will mess the screen of the opponent.
I think I saw that in the demo. Okay, so it's not just ranged abilities that kill, like the dart and the hidden gun. It's also like throwing knives, this new disruption thing.
Everything that is ranged will be in the same slot with dedicated cooldown and things like that. So this way you can play with 3 abilities at one time. That's really a good way for us to give more tools to the players.
Sorry, go ahead.
And yeah, and to stop guys running and things like that, to interact with players that are far away.
Yeah.
So it's really helpful.
Yeah. So the main reasoning behind adding this range ability slot is to help people take out kind of the runners and roofers, so they don't have to sacrifice
or the people at distance, you know, like before, but to stop people running away or to disrupt players coming to you, so that then you can stun them or defend yourself. So it's really a wider range of tools.
Okay, yeah. Are you guys doing any, because the people who run around on the rooftops all game have always kind of been a problem ever since Brotherhood, and when you have the entire lobby doing it, it makes it for kind of a really not fun experience.
Yeah,
I know you guys have always been constantly fighting on how to discourage players from doing that. So this seems like one way, but are you guys doing?
But it's also a part of Assassin's Creed, right? The free running and going on rooftops.
Yeah.
So at heart, it's Assassin's Creed, and it's not something that is bad. But it's just that it needs to go with the game. So, for example, that's why last year we had modes that were more based on free running than others.
Like Artifact Assault.
But even more like Steal the Artifact.
Oh God, yes.
So this way players can play the way they want, and they won't disturb the other players. And that's kind of things how we do that. And yeah, at the end, it's not, being always staying on rooftops and using hidden gun. You won't win the session at the end. So it's something that maybe some players do at the beginning, but they don't do at the end. And thanks to our matchmaking that is more accurate this year, you will really play with players who are at your level and who play like you. Okay. So you won't fight against silly players that are doing silly things.
Yeah. Are you implementing any sort of ranking system like Brotherhood had Templar grade, but Revelations had pretty much just the prestige levels? So how are you ranking people?
I can't speak about that.
Okay.
But that tells you the answer.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yeah. So one thing I thought I noticed when I used the poison dart in the demo was it seemed like it was blocked by civilians. Is that correct? Like I tried to shoot there were some civilians in between.
Yeah, it's like before you can shoot things that are in between, so you need to be careful. Poison dart, it's at a lower range for the moment than the hidden kill, for example, so you still need to be quite close. I'm not sure it will stay like that at the end.
Okay.
Because we are still tuning. It's the first time we see people playing with it, so we will still do a lot of back and forth to have the right tuning that we want on it. But that's really,
yeah. I think in the previous games, when you shot the hidden gun, for example, you could shoot through civilians, but not like buildings and stuff. So does that
normally the poison dart is the same?
The poison dart is the same?
Yeah.
So it's not blocked by civilians?
Normally not.
Oh, okay.
But it's like always things that can change that
you know what?
To be practiced.
Yeah. So you're saying it has a very short range for the poison dart, so I might have misinterpreted that.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
he might have gone out of range. And, okay, that's my mistake then. Okay, I understand now. Okay, so that clears that up. So poison dart has a very short range is what it is.
Yeah, today it's the case. I'm not sure it will stay like that, but today it's the case.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to have an overpowered poison dart,
it's
shoot
it
a
across
poison,
the map
and we don't want to have a poison that is as easy to shoot as a hidden kill.
Yeah.
Hidden gun kill, because it's not the same amount of point that you earn and things like that.
Yeah.
So we're still fine-tuning that.
Yeah.
But today it's like that. Maybe it will change. It's things that we need to come up with to really find a good balance.
Yeah. Obviously, all the stuff in the demo is subject to balancing and changes.
And even more about the abilities and things like that.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Because those are really key.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we really need to see how players play with it and things like that to tweak those and to change things. And we need to have all of them ready and almost finished to restart. Playing with them well and see what works, what doesn't, and things like that.
Yeah.
So we're constantly improving on those.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I noticed that Smoke Bomb is now on a 80-second cooldown, I think up from 60, and it's kind of been, I think especially if you play Revelations right now in a mode like Deathmatch where people kind of tend to clump together a lot, it's really easy for everyone to just be using Smoke Bomb every 35 seconds and being caught in it. So that's a really nice change that I think people have been clamoring for. Are you guys doing anything else to kind of mitigate recreate the effects of Smoke Bomb because it's really versatile.
So we've patched the Smoke Bomb on Revelations because we had a lot of complaints about the reactivity and things like that. So we patched it. We made it more easy to use and more reactive,
removing the delay,
but also more powerful at the end. So that's why we put a bigger cooldown on it. So this year, what we come up with on AC3 is that we have the shield ability, and it's really a very good counter ability to the smoke. So the shield ability, it's the Animus shield, in fact, and it makes you invincible against all the abilities. So if someone's throwing you a poison dart or a knife,
so you could activate it when you hear the lock-on sound. And they wouldn't be able
so you activate it, and for range things you have several hits, so it protects you just for several hits.
Okay.
And depending on how you craft it, you have different numbers of hit protection. And it also protects you against smoke bomb. So for example, often in Revelations, you come close to a guy, but it seems that he's looking for you.
Yeah.
So, you know, oh, he will smoke me. So do I smoke him at distance? And you know, and you still have a mind game that's coming on. Now what you can do is put the shield, going silly to him, then he throws the smoke bomb, but you can go through it and kill him. So it really brings a new strategy, and it's really a good counter.
Okay. What is your opinion on offensive smoke bombs? I'm curious, because it's using either to get the focus bonus or to.
It's the offensive smoke bomb really came out because of the prompt stun.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? We didn't have that much on Brotherhood.
Well, the prompts and the contested kills, I think.
Yeah, and now because on Revelations you could see who is your assassin.
Yeah.
People could react and stun you or contest you, and that's why people were using a lot the smoke bomb in attack, in offense.
Yeah.
But now that we don't have anymore the prompt stun, because we merged everything on the same button, we don't have as much smoke bomb used as attacks, or you really do it to do the focus, but you don't do it anymore because you're afraid to being stunned. You see what I mean? If you do a good approach, if the player hasn't noticed you, you can go and stun him. You're not afraid to stun someone without using the smoke bomb anymore.
That's great. Okay, so I thought maybe you could talk about the ambush bonus, because a lot of people were, weren't happy with the changes from the detection meter from Brotherhood to the approach meter in Revelations, saying I can't flank my targets and get points anymore. So you kind of explain how it works really quick and kind of the thinking.
So it was really polarized. We had a ton of players who really liked it, and also players who really didn't like it that much. But at heart, what we wanted to do is to reward the approach. If someone is taking the risk to stay close to their target before killing game, we wanted to reward that. So that's why we did the approach meter. But I agree with players who say, in Brotherhood I was intercepting players and I had a ton of points of doing that, and I can't do that anymore on a Revelation. So that's why what we're bringing on AC3 is the ambush bonus. So the ambush bonus today gives you 100 points for intercepting someone that has not been in your last line of sight for a lot of time. So he comes out, you intercept him, you kill him, and you have more than 100 points. So it makes a kill at as an approach to 250 points, which is the same as a silent. So we think it's a pretty good balance. Maybe we'll tweak it, but today we think it's a pretty good balance. And it really answers this behavior that some players like in Brotherhood.
Yeah, and I was saying earlier, I think it's actually a really good balance, because you still get, even though it's the same amount of points as a silent kill, the silent kill still gives you the shorter kill animation. It counts towards a silent kill streak if you have it equipped, and so it's kind of, you're still encouraging people to kind of stock behavior, but if people want to kind of take the more ambush approach type thing, they can do it without being as punished as they were in Revelations. So I think that's
being rewarded. That's really we want to reward them.
So look at it as being rewarded.
We don't want to punish them, in fact, and it's really something that we discovered afterwards. When we shipped the game, we didn't thought about punishing those people. So now we want to reward them because they play the way they want to play, and it's also a good way to play. So we want to reward that.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people will be very happy about that. So
Yeah.
So one thing that you guys have kind of been struggling a little bit with the matchmaking with each release. So in Brotherhood, the problem was everything was really fragmented, and then you kind of fixed that in Revelations, but there were a lot of issues with that. I thought maybe you could talk about that and what's going on in AC3.
So we had some bugs in Brotherhood, and because of those bugs that didn't have any timeout and things like that, people could be stuck for a really long time. So because of that, when it happened for some players, then players lose confidence with the system. So while they wait 10 seconds, they said, oh, I'm waiting too much, and I quit. So they were stressing even more the system, and they were breaking it even more. And also we had a ton of new modes by DLC, things like that, and all of those were splitting the community.
Yes.
And at the end, that's why the matchmaking didn't work as well as we wanted it to work.
Yeah.
So we fixed that on Revelations. But one of the area we didn't have time to work on, because we had to fix the Brotherhood things, is the matchmaking with friends. So in Revelation, when you create a group, you can only be joined by player, and you can't join other session. And that's why it could take a lot of time to be joined by other player, and that's why sometimes it didn't work. And that's why when you start a group at 3, it was working very often. At 4, it was always working, but at 2,
it was
and a lot of players are going at 2. You need to be joined by at least 2 players within 1 minute, and that's really hard.
I see.
And if we change that, if we said, okay, let's put the timeout longer, like 2-3 minutes of wait, we would have break the rest of the matchmaking. Like the player who just want to play alone and join the other players. So what we did with AC3 is at the beginning of the project we said we will do a matchmaking focused on playing with friends.
Yes.
So now when you create a group, the group can join other sessions, you can have several group sessions and things like that. So we're really fixing that, and it will be really easy to play with friends, because at heart a multiplayer needs to be played with friends, and that's really what we want.
Absolutely. Will the game still split you up if there's like, so say your group of 4?
No.
Okay.
So the game will try to keep everybody in the same team.
Yes.
Then if you're so that's why also we will use the group number at 4. So this way it's always a team number. But then when you join an in-game session and they're already playing, and some slots, the 3 slots, you will be split, but just for this session, and then we put you back in the same team for the next session. So it really depends on the session you join. So but we will try, and that's some tests that we are doing now, to make you join only session where you can be in the same team. So it's some tests that we are doing now, but it's always the choice of, do we make you wait 10 minutes to have the good game where you're in your team? Or do we say, no, you wait 30 seconds, you play, rather than waiting 10 minutes, you play 8 minutes, but with a friend in the opponent team, and in the next game you play with them. So it's the right balance to find.
I know it's a tricky thing. I think that's pretty much how it worked in Revelations, I think, right? And I think one of the kind of frustrating things that would happen a lot when I played team games with my friends would be that we would play a full 4-on-4, like we'd finally get together 4-on-4 all together, and then because usually they'd be against people who weren't as organized, so they'd lose. And then it's like, if one person left, you'd be okay, and the next match you'd be on the same team. But a lot of times, maybe 2 people left or more, and then it would immediately put someone from your team on the other without waiting.
In this case, we will leave you in the same team.
Okay.
So we'll wait for more players to join.
Okay, so instead of immediately putting one person over, you'll just wait a little bit longer to try to fill up the other team more.
Then we have to find the right balance between waiting too much and playing. But now we really try to keep you in the same team.
Okay, that's great, because I think the problem with Revelations was that immediately after 2 people left, it's we got to put you on another team right away. You can't wait, and it led to alternating games between having a full team and split. Okay, that's really great to hear. Okay, so we'll wrap this up pretty quick. I have maybe just a couple other questions real quick.
You have 5 minutes left.
5 minutes, yeah, sure, okay, sure. So I noticed, just a really quick question, I noticed some of the personas in the AC3 demo, a lot of new kill animations, a lot of new weapons, a little more varied than, excuse me, the Revelations one. I did also notice some Revelation weapons and kill animations, like the dagger kill animations and stuff. Are you aiming to replace those by the time the game goes live?
So we'll have a lot of new animations. We'll have also others that come back from Revelation. Because because we want to add new weapons, things like that, it takes time to do those. So it will be a balance between the two. But we really try to do iconic weapons, things that really fits the character.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think it feels like a lot of the, to me anyway, the Revelations characters lost a lot of personality. It's funny because you can customize them a lot more, and they have taunts, but they also lost personality, I think, in the kill animations, because they all, even the unique kills were all still with like daggers, swords, whereas like Brotherhood, you had like razor blades.
That's the problem of giving the choice of, by giving you the choice of which weapon you play with, it could be more generic. So now we have a favorite weapon. So in this favorite weapon, you will do a kill that only you can do. As your character, so this way you have the both. In fact, you can choose the weapon you want, but you know which weapon will grant you the animation you want.
And the signature weapons are more unique than the Revelation signature weapons, right? They're not just daggers; they're like big claws and like stuff like that.
That's what we try to do.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a really good change. Yes, it's kind of it's still customized, but you can also give them personality with the signature thing. That's great. So there's a new cover system in the single player, where you can kind of hide around corners and peek around. Is that going to be showing up in the multiplayer?
So we don't have the cover animation per se, but it's something that a lot of players do, and since Revelation and AC3, they just put themselves behind the wall and look with the camera. But we don't want to. We didn't do the animation because with the animation we see your face. You see what I mean?
Oh, I see.
So if we took only the single player stuff, it would mean that by being covered, you're not in cover effect, and people can see you.
See this little head poking around the corner.
So it was a bit silly. So at the end, we left it the way it is.
Okay, so it is in there. It's just without giving you away.
It's just you can still be behind walls and look, but it's since AC3 you can do that, and we have some players playing like that internally.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's not like you'll press up against it. It's just you'll be swinging your camera around like in all the other games. So okay, so you haven't really implemented the cover system.
So we don't have an animation per se, and we don't have a cover system. Because in the single player it's really an animation, so he puts himself next to the wall and then he picks. But we don't want to have the head picking, so...
Okay, so it's pretty much just the same as before.
And you know, it's always the same thing. In multiplayer you need to have reactive movements, and by putting you in a state, when you go away it takes time, so we have some... So when you go against walls, you will take some posture that weren't here before. Okay. We have some new crowd life animation, things like that.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty
I was going to ask about that. So new blending animations.
So we try to do so like in Northwest Passage, you're freezing because
I noticed that you're like breathing.
And we have other things that's speaking with people. We have other animation, and we have also contextual kills, environmental kills.
Yeah, so I saw someone
you can grab someone's head.
Put it against the
smash
table.
him against the table or on the wall and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So you can grab an object, smash it to his face and things like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so maybe one more question before we wrap this up. So as far as like supporting clans and guilds, are you guys doing any more to kind of enhance that whole thing? I know you guys added like emblems and stuff before.
So same thing, clans, I can't discuss about it.
Okay.
But maybe this summer.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thank you very, very much for taking the time to talk to me, and I'm sure, you know, and we know the communication between the Annecy developers and the community doesn't happen a whole lot, and so I think a lot of people...
It will be better, and we're looking at the forums, we're listening to you. The ambush bonus is pretty much came up on the forums too. We had the same idea at the right time, but by seeing it on the forums, we knew it was a good idea. So, we look at it.
Well, I've been very impressed with the AC3 multiplayer so far, and it seems like you guys are taking a lot of the suggestions from the forum into account, like the ambush bonus, the removal of the stun prompt, poison dart I've seen, increased smoke bomb cooldown. So I've been surprised and impressed, and I hope that you know, you guys continue to be more open with communication and address stuff.
Really listening to you guys.
So and I think it can be a really cool game if everything you can just kind of navigate it. It'd be really great. So thank you very, very much.
Thanks.
And I guess we'll be signing off. Thanks.